So let's take a minute to look at this base from Flowyline. Now, one thing I like about these bases is that not only are they extremely heavy duty, I mean, this thing probably weighs 40 pounds and it's small. So that means it's not going to be super tippy. And that was honestly one of my biggest concerns when I used one of these a couple of years ago with my parents' dining room table, was that it was going to be tippy. And the weight of these, they are not tippy. But I also like that there is a large bearing surface to mount to whatever your top is. Obviously, in this instance, I'm talking about this live edge slab. It could be a glued up top, whatever it is. There is a lot of surface here to mount it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this upside down and I'm going to rotate it around. And what I want is I want those plates to be completely within this flat surface and not hanging over the edge at all. And that looks pretty good. And just by happenstance, this looks like it's pretty centered as well. So I like that, and I like where that's sitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a pica marker. And I like pica markers because they have this long, thin tip on them, and it allows you to easily mark around stuff. And I'm going to mark around each of these mounting plates. And the main reason that I'm doing this is that we are going to recess these mounting plates into this slab. Now, I'll be honest with you, on the dining room table, because the broad top of it, I mounted these directly to the surface just like this. However, with a smaller table where you don't have as much overhang, I want this to appear seamless. So I'm going to recess these plates into the bottom of the slab, and I think that that's going to give us the cleanest look possible. So now that I have marked those, we can see right where they're going. The next step is to grab a couple of scraps of plywood or MDF and to use double-sided tape and or pin nails and hold those down along each edge. What I'm doing then is making a fence, and that's going to allow me to route around the outside and recess this down so that it fits those base plates. Okay, I've attached these MDF fences surrounding this plates area, and I also have a dado cleanout bit installed in my router. And I've set this to the same depth as this base plate on this Flowyline base plus that MDF fence. So when it cuts, it's going to cut this depth here. The router is going to ride around the fence and make a perimeter cut. After I get that outside cut done, I'm going to pull these fences off, and then I'm going to ride the base plate of the router on the surface of this slab, and I'm just going to nibble away that waste left and right, kind of bouncing back and forth between that groove that we've already cut. That's going to leave me with a flat bottom cut and recess that's going to fit the base plate. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to do the same thing for this recess. Okay, there we go. Those recesses fit nicely. I cut them slightly oversized for a very particular reason. Anytime you have a solid wood top, such as a slab like this or even one that you glued up, there's going to be expansion and contraction within that slab. It's the same reason that these holes for mounting the top to the base are slotted. We want to allow for that wood to expand and contract depending on what the ambient humidity is at that time of year. So I left them just a hair loose, and I'm going to position them right in the center so there is room for that wood to kind of shrink around or swell up depending on what it's going to do. So now we've talked about attaching this base to this top. And to do that, I have a couple of different options. The first is I could just use screws or leg bolts through those holes. And that would work pretty well, especially since this top is plenty thick. I don't have to worry about poking through it. However, what I find is the better option is to use something like this. This is a threaded insert. And this threaded insert gets installed into the wood in a counterbore hole, and then a little cap socket head screw can get installed into that. And I just think that this is a nicer looking connection, and it's super strong. So that's what we're going to install. So now I'm going to grab that same pica head, or the pica marker, just because it has that long narrow point. I'm going to mark these locations. Now Floyline gives us plenty of mounting options on this base plate. Usually what I do is I try to hit at least opposite corners on each plate. So that one and that one. Same thing back here. Okay, that's going to be 2 in each. And we'll add another one maybe right here in the center on each. So that would be 6 total, 3 in each. More is not going to hurt, but I think 3 in each plate is going to work perfect, especially since that's what I have. And okay, there we go. So I marked those locations. Now we can drill them. And because these are oblong slots, I'm going to go ahead and install these right in the center. Now to drill these holes, I want to make sure that that hole is perfectly plumb. I want that threaded insert to install straight up and down. And I also want to make sure that it's at the right depth. Not only do we have to bury that entire insert into the cherry, but I have to have room, if necessary, for that end of the screw to go through the bottom. So it has to be a little bit deeper than the threaded insert. So to drill these holes, I could wrestle this onto the drill press, especially if you have a big drill press, you could wrestle it on there. However, I like to use something like this. This is just a drilling guide. And what this is a chuck that has the appropriate size drill bit. And then there is a collar up here that you can mount in the drill. And this entire thing helps guide that bit perfectly perpendicular, or at an angle if you wanted, but we're going to do perpendicular. And I can drill with this. So to set the depth, I'm going to set the depth stop on this drilling guide. And I've lowered it so the bit is touching the wood. So that is our 0 location where it's not going to drill. Then I can scooch that down. And I just want to make sure that that is deep enough that it's going to allow plenty of room for the threaded insert and for the screw to project through. So that looks good. So now I'm going to attach the drill. And that's all there is to drilling those. Okay, so that's the main counterbore. Now, what I like to do is, you could probably thread this in here, but I found it's much easier if you chamfer that hole first. So I just put a little chamfer bit in the drill. And it doesn't have to be super big. Just enough to kind of bevel those fibers around so you can install it without it lifting a bunch of fibers up. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to install that base using threaded inserts in those holes we just drilled. And when you're looking at brass inserts, we have 2 different ends on them. One end is completely flat, and the other end has a couple of notches in it. And it looks like it would fit a flathead screwdriver pretty well, but flathead screwdrivers never really seem to fit. And the rumor mill is that those aren't actually for flathead screwdrivers. Instead, those are actually areas that are supposed to help cutting in this threaded insert as it's installed. So with that in mind, I put aside the flathead screwdriver, and I like to install these with a bolt and a couple of lock nuts on there. And I've put 2 of them on there just kind of as a jam nut situation to keep them from backing up the bolt any further. And I install that threaded insert on tight up against those nuts with those slots down. And now this entire thing is ready to install using a socket wrench. I can just pop it on there and then twist it in. I want to make sure that I am installing that perfectly perpendicular to the surface. Look at it and make sure it looks like it is square, and then we'll just twist that in. the biggest thing with this is not only do you want it square, but you also want to make sure that that insert is installed below the surface. You want that base plate on that floor line base to suck down tight to the wood and not be sitting on that insert. So there we go. I have that one installed. Now I have a couple more to install, and then we can put that base in place and install it with a couple of cap head screws. Okay, initial look shows that those threaded inserts all line up. So now we're just going to install them with these little cap head screws with a washer, and that washer is just to give me a good bearing area, allowing that base plate to move, or allowing the slab to move with that base plate attached. There we go. And we will get these installed and flip it over and see how this thing looks. Okay, there we go. Now, while I have this upside down, one thing I'm going to point out, and I'm not going to worry about it just yet because I want to get a finish on this table and get it into its final resting location, but these bases also have adjustable feet on the inside of them. So once it is in its final spot, whether that's in a living room or in a kitchen or next to a bed, you can adjust these feet to make it sit perfectly level. So just figured since we're upside down, we'll point that out. Now let's flip this over and see what it looks like. All right. So there we go. That's the first look at it sitting up on the base, and I like that. Everything looks nicely balanced. It looks like it's sized correctly for that base, so I'm very happy with that. Now what I need to do is do a little bit of more refining on this edge. I'm going to do a little bit of sanding. I probably have a couple hours of sanding, getting everything smoothed out to where it is ready for a finish. But then I will go ahead and apply the finish. Then we'll come back and see what the finished top looks like on the base. There we go. So a little bit of sanding, a couple of coats of lacquer, and this project's wrapped up. And that's one of the things that I really like about using a prefab metal base like this, is this entire project only takes a day or two because all you're doing is servicing the slab, finishing it, and then making sure you get a good connection on the base. So with that, I'm gonna call this project wrapped up.